Good morning, Palantards. All right, busy week this week. Lots of news going on with Snowflake. I found several really cool articles we're going to get into today. There's a theme running though, which is like, will Snowflake be the power player, the 800-pound gorilla in the big data space? And they're definitely making a lot of plays to position themselves for that. So is Databricks. This article came out, will Snowflake be worth more than Alphabet in 2030? The answer is probably no, in my opinion. Could be wrong about that. Google is a juggernaut, though. I think that people are vastly overstating the market for data warehouses if they really think that. But that brings us to our next point, which is Snowflake isn't a data warehouse anymore, and neither is Databricks. They're both vying to become application platforms. What does that mean? They are quickly positioning themselves to replace SaaS 1.0. About a year ago, there was a gentleman from Andreessen Horowitz, excuse me, that was pitching this idea that why are we going through all of this work using SaaS products, creating all these data silos out there that all these SaaS providers maintain, and then spending all this money to bring all that data back into the data warehouse where we can then analyze it as a company and actually do something meaningful with it. So the proposal from this gentleman was like, hey, why don't we just bring the apps to the data? And ever since then, these companies have been positioning themselves to bring applications to the data by building a platform on which, on this data warehouse, you can now build real web applications, real mobile applications that do stuff, right? Like human resource management. That's something that, is every company has a product like Bamboo or Bob to manage to do all their HR work. Why not just build that directly on your data warehouse, and then you can analyze that data and make actual predictions about turnover rate that matter? Crazy idea, right? Well, what about web analytics? Like if you've all been watching my series Foundry for Gaming, you can see that it's pretty easy to build a powerful analytics platform on Foundry if you just start streaming the data in there. So I think all of these companies get it. Databricks, Palantir, Snowflake, they all get it. They all know that they want to be the next AWS. And if that happens, maybe they do become the next Alphabet or the next AWS. The question is who's better positioned to do that? In my mind, I think people have vastly overstated these platforms' capabilities. What they've done, what Databricks and Snowflake have done, is that they've rushed to market, and it shows, and they've created the marketplace first, right? They've got their marketplaces up there. They've got hundreds of people offering pretty shallow products in there that look a lot like open data exchanges that exist today. There's nothing groundbreaking in what's out there in terms of the actual offerings that are on those platforms today. It kind of looks like everything else. It is a boost for the developer community, though. So all those engineers out there, maybe they can find some additional sales revenue selling some high value data or something that people, it's another revenue stream that they can now tap. And then maybe they'll get excited about that and build more value. The issue is that the offering itself is shallow. What does that mean? It means you can't build an actual app and deliver it through these systems yet. An actual app that does stuff, right? Think like HyperAuto, right? Think Skywise. Those applications are absolutely delivered the way Snowflake and Databricks want to deliver data apps, which is data apps is the term for this new SaaS 2.0 revolution, the next evolution of SaaS. But they can't deliver data apps, right? So like they can deliver some data visualizations. They can't deliver full applications. Palantir can, and I demoed Palantir's template capabilities in the templates video. So if you want to know what those capabilities are, go check it out. They also, I don't know if they've released anything on their developer channel actually, but I'll ask them about it. But you can deliver a complete working app from data ingestion all the way down to the screens that actually do stuff like write back and trigger orders and do all the alerting and like visualize all the data and dashboards. Like you can customize it all. And it can all be packaged as a Foundry template. And when you import the template in Foundry, all you have to do is hook up the data sources and you're done. This thing just works magically. And that is way further ahead than anything these platforms can currently deliver, dude. Like they're struggling just to get a pipeline delivered through their template equivalent. They don't do that yet. They're like years behind Palantir on this front. So if data apps are going to be a thing, Palantir is going to come in like frickin' Muhammad Ali and just start punching the shit out of these people. As soon as companies figure out that like, oh, we want data apps, what's the platform that does data apps? Foundry, right? There is no other platform like it in the market. There's not going to be anytime soon either because the capabilities, like the time it takes to replicate those capabilities is years and years and years of work. So Palantir was way ahead of the game when it came to data apps. Before even Andreessen and Horowitz figured out that this was going to be a thing, they knew it was going to be a thing, because that's why they have that capability, and they've been using that capability to ship and deliver software for all their partners, right? So this is production proven. It's in the wild as far as I can tell, and it's how companies like Airbus and I'm forgetting the Wejo, ship and distribute their software. So it's a true platform, right, on top of the data warehouse. So there's nothing else like that in the market. But you will see, like, Snowflake is making some moves. Like I posted a link about these hybrid tables. So why do you need hybrid tables? Well, like in traditional data warehouses, you store the data in a columnar format, and that's really good at like analyzing and doing data analysis with this stuff, because you can run aggregate queries really fast. But what you can't do is process transactions, right? You can't like, oh, I want to purchase something, or I just want to update this one record over here because the user changed their profile. You need transactional tables for that, and that's what this hybrid model that Snowflake is pitching. And why do you need that, right? Like, why would a data warehouse and a data analytics company want to support transactions? There's a few reasons in the analytics space, but the primary reason is if you want to deliver data apps in the next evolution of SaaS, you need a transactional database system. And in my opinion, that's why they're really pushing this, is because now you can build apps on top of the data warehouse, and they actually sync this stuff. So if you write to a transactional table, it'll have a replicated columnar format table that is the aggregate of all of that data, and it'll update that other table in real time as you're performing transactions over here on your transactional table. But there's trade-offs there, like performance being one of them, and eventual consistency being another. There's other problems that they're going to have to deal with to make that a reality. But you can see Snowflake making the moves to become this data platform. And you can see Databricks doing the same thing. Databricks is coming up with their own solutions to these types of problems. So absolutely, the trend right now is moving towards data apps, data applications, and replacing SaaS with these platforms. Now, a great example was talked about in Palantir Weekly that I didn't even know about. So if you catch the pod, I haven't finished watching it. I'm almost done watching it. But they brought up this really cool example of, I believe it's a human resources management system, like an HR management system for that was built on Foundry. And that's like an obvious example of things you can build on Foundry. And that's what people don't realize, is like it's an actual like software development platform, And the fact that a company was able to go in and replace all of their HR software with Foundry is a testament to just how powerful that platform is. And it's something I've been saying for a long time. It's just that there aren't enough developers with access to the platform to produce a louder voice than just my own or their own developer channel. But absolutely, this is going to, like, Foundry is going to just take a sledgehammer to SaaS. Like, I go through all the SaaS offerings at my company. I go, oh, we can eliminate that one. We can eliminate that one. We can eliminate that one. We can eliminate that one, and just have it all on top of our data warehouse. So I think that is also a shot across the bow of these other companies, and also a leading indicator that data apps are going to be a thing, but the premier platform to build it on is Foundry. Just no one knows it yet because no one has freaking access yet. So we've got that problem still to deal with. I think that like they are making moves. Other good news. I did get the green light to start a series on Foundry certification explained. So it might just be one video. I might put out several videos, but I'm going to break down the certification process for you. I'm going to have a free open source curriculum to all the public parts of that curriculum. So there's like 4 different certifications, and each one has a whole bunch has a curriculum. And in the curriculum, there's links to the public documentation of things you need to read before you take the exam. I'm going to take all the public portions of that, put it in an open source curriculum that you can read through, and you can go through all that because those docs are now public, and you can prep yourself to get certified. I also am going to be interviewing, I don't know if she's going to agree to an interview like on the channel or not, but I am going to speak to the person that runs the certification program. They are making some big changes to it soon. So I'm hoping to get some like really exciting news for you. But even if they were just to offer certification at conferences, so if you just go to the conference and you could use Foundry and get certified, that would have a huge impact in my opinion. So they need to get these developers on board so they can talk about the kinds of things you can build on Foundry. It can't just be me out there like saying to the world, hey, this is going to replace SaaS. You can rebuild all of your software on Foundry. It's a true sky compute platform, and you don't need to worry about cloud providers anymore, any of that stuff. Like, it can't just be me saying that. We got to get these other developers out there who realize the power of this tool and who are inspired to use it. So I'm going to do my best to make sure you can start getting the curriculum that makes sense, going through all of that public documentation in the right order. You can start to understand and digest the platform, and hopefully find some way to get developers access to the tool so they can actually get certified through a public certification program. So I'll let you know how that goes, and I do expect to drop that video pretty soon. Still working on it though. So that's in the works. some good content on the weekly. I was like, oh, like kind of laugh. Chris is I think he maybe made a little money in Snowflake. I don't know if he got in at the right time before their earnings report, so that's great for him. But I think like I keep coming back to this thing. It's like, guys, I've been saying what you're saying for freaking ever. Like we all know what their problems are. We all know where their deficiencies are. I think it's like I'm in this position where it's just like they'll eventually get there. I think they eventually are going to address some of these things and just be patient. That's where I'm at with it. Like as far as the problems with access to the platform, the problem that no one knows who they are, the problem like no one knows what you can do with the platform, what the tool actually is. So there's some good back and forth in the weekly. I thought it was really good. I would say Matt Money made this point about like that Foundry or Palantir will go and sit down with a customer, and like they're the only company that will come and sit down with you, say like, what problems are you trying to solve? And that's a great point. I appreciate that, but that's a consultancy. That's not a scalable software business. There's a reason no one else does that, because it can't scale. And you can't necessarily, like, if you're relying on your engineers you're going to have all the subject matter experts in the world and no one else is going to, like, you can't do that. Like the company will service 500 customers at most. Like what are you going to do? Have all the world's Foundry experts in your organization? No, you got to train other people. You got to train the world on how to use your platform and get certified subject matter experts out there in the world that can then be that forward deployed engineer that sits down with their own organization and says, hey, what problems do you want to solve? I'll tell you how Foundry can solve them. So I think that what Matt is missing there is like that's you're describing a consultancy, you're not describing a software business. And I think that Palantir on some level needs to like do some introspection and be like, are we a consultancy or are we a software business? Because if we're a software business, this shit needs to go public, like ASAP, so that all those subject matter experts that we currently employ can like be augmented by the hundreds of thousands of developers out there in the world who can now be FDEs for their own organizations. I think Palantir needs to think about that. And that's great that they sit down with customers and figure out what they want to do. But that's like, I mean, who can afford that? First of all, like each FDE is like what, $1 million. So like, one person is going to sit with you for however long. It's going to be like $1 million. Like how many companies even have that kind of money to spend? And then the other side to it is just that you can't scale that. And they absolutely, so like, and the other thing I keep coming back to is when we have these debates about like, what is their strategy? Does it work? Does it not work? Is that the competition gets a vote, motherfucker. Like you may have the best strategy in the world. That's not going to matter if the competition outcompetes you, captures the market, and now they're replicating on a poor level all of the strategy you've been trying to roll out for the last 10 years or whatever. So the competition gets a vote. And if that, has to accelerate or decelerate your plans based on what's happened in the market, and, respond. If that means you have plans that we're going to roll this out in 2023, 2024, or 2025, and now you need to readjust because your competition's coming for it, I'd say that would be a valuable use of billions of dollars in cash that is sitting there being devalued right now. So if I was at Palantir, that's what I would probably be looking into as a way to accelerate our developer community, our plans for a developer community if they have them, and invest some of that cash into tooling up a massive portion of not massive, but a large portion of my organization that is dedicated to training, development, supporting open source projects, going to conferences, training people on site. Like AWS spends a lot of money on this, guys. Like go out there and look at, reInvent and how much money is spent on reInvent every year. It's insane. And so, but they have sponsors that help pay for that, but at the same time, like just look at the level of investment these other companies are making into the software engineers of the world and how it's paying off for them. That's a valuable use of billions of dollars in cash that is sitting there being devalued every day it sits in the bank. So I see no reason not to accelerate those plans. I would invest heavily in trying to get conferences going where people could get certified on site, even if you can't like give them access to Foundry, for whatever reason right away. You can absolutely give them access to Foundry at a conference. And then I would figure out, like, how do I create a free tier, of Foundry Stacks that I'm going to pay for to help people learn this platform, to help students learn this platform, and create the next generation of software engineers that are raised on Foundry. That's what I would do. So let's see what materializes here. I will post links to the curriculum if the curriculum is ready before the video is. And I'm setting up a new Discord channel for Foundry certification where you can ask questions. And hopefully, that there's a public option soon, and that I think will like really transform the conversation. Once developers are able to get a free tier and access this thing and really understand it and become certified subject matter experts in it, all these conversations are going to shift, and it's going to happen fast, So I would say like it's not something that is going to happen overnight, but when it does happen, all the conversation is going to shift. And I think people really start to understand just how differentiated Foundry is compared to Snowflake, compared to Databricks. Even though there's a lot of overlap between the two, they're essentially, if you really look at it, going to be separate business. They're in a different business than some of these other companies, at least as of today. I know the competition's catching up and doing their best to chase Palantir, but I think you just can't replicate the knowledge they have, the sort of insight that they have, and so anything you do is probably going to be subpar when compared to the real thing, in my opinion. So anyway, be on the lookout for the certification program, curriculum, all those great things, the video, and I'm there on Discord. So if you ever want to reach out and just chat, jump on the Discord. It's all free. I give my time away. I'm very, very busy with other stuff, but I really think it's an important thing to do, to reinvest back into the software community and into the developer community, because it's done so much for me in my career. So like I just try to give my time away, as much of it as I can, for free. So reach out on Discord, and I will see you guys next week.